Shooting victim Angel Colon says he had misgivings speaking publicly about the carnage at the Pulse nightclub. In his words, the tragedy was still fresh in his mind.
Out of nowhere, we just hear a big shotgun. We stop what we're doing, and then it just keeps going. That happened, and we just grabbed each other. We started running, and unfortunately, I was shot about 3 times in my leg.
The 26-year-old was knocked down, unable to walk because of his injuries, and trampled by people rushing out. He hoped the gunman would stop. Instead, he says the killer calmly walked through the club, shooting people at point-blank range again and again.
I was able to peek over, and I can just see him shooting at everyone. And I can hear the shotguns closer, and I look over, and he shoots the girl next to me. And I'm just there laying down. I'm thinking, I'm next, I'm dead.
The gunman then took aim at Colon.
So I don't know how, but by the glory of God, he shoots towards my head, but it hits my hand. And then he shoots me again, and it hits the side of my hip.
Police arrived on the scene, and an officer was able to reach Colon and literally drag him to safety. Colon is one of dozens of patients rushed to the Orlando Regional Medical Center, the area's major trauma center, and just 4 blocks away from the Pulse nightclub.
That was great for the patients, them being close, but it made it very difficult for the medical staff and the nursing staff to take care of these patients because they essentially were showing up without any notification at all, and we really didn't know what their injuries were until they were brought into the trauma bay.
It was a night that would test the very limits of their capabilities. Patients were being rushed to the hospital any way possible.
With a busy level 1 trauma center, we're used to seeing gunshot wounds. We're used to seeing a multitude of injuries each and every night, but this was somewhat of a surreal experience.
There was a variety of things. You could tell we had both small caliber and large caliber, and you could tell proximity based on the amount of injury.
The handgun small caliber injuries. The semi-automatic rifle in Mateen's hand did unspeakable. Despite the medical staff's best efforts, doctors say 9 people died after reaching the facility. There are still dozens hospitalized, some in critical condition.
I would be surprised if we do not see the death toll rise from this. We're doing everything that we possibly can to pull them through this, but they are critically ill as a result of their injuries.
Amid the life and death issues, gun control is also on the minds of many who lost so much.
I really do think in order to have a gun, you have to have a reason. I don't think you should just have a gun just to have a gun. I mean, I believe in protecting yourself and all that, but if it's that easy to just bring 2 guns, huge guns like that into this place that easy, there's something wrong.
And those chilling stories just go on. And another survivor talked about being on the ground, and when police launched an explosion and tried to breach the wall, Mateen used that opportunity to go around and fire once again at people on the ground. But the survivor says at that point, the rifle apparently jammed, and so he was forced to go on and use his pistol until authorities engaged him and killed the suspect. Mike?
Incredible story, Sean. It's such a good thing that major trauma center was so close, and we know that they train and train and train, but training and reality are 2 different things. So walk us through these hours in the hospital. How do these teams have the supplies for dozens of wounded? Where did all the staff come from, and how did they respond so quickly?
You know, it was just an hour-long news conference, but you really were on the edge of your seat listening to the doctors, to the survivors. At first, 5 people came in, and they thought, okay, this is the worst of it. Not at all. Then the next 9 people that came in were seriously injured. A lot of those people passed away. They literally exhausted all their supplies. They went through, they called everybody in, surgeons, respiratory therapists, nurses, everybody who could theoretically help. Doctors and other medical facilities in the area began sending supplies here as they continued to rush the injured just down 2 blocks that way to the hospital. And secondly, the injured came in waves, 2 gigantic waves. The first time when my team broke into Pulse and opened fire, they were able to get about 20 or so people down to the hospital. And then again, once police used a Bearcat to bash in the side of the wall and people were able to get out, then they were able to get more injured down. And hospital officials, of course, say proximity played a huge part in this, but they said there's a heartbreaking side in all this as well, because during the 3 hours from the time my team went in until authorities were able to breach the wall, others died, and doctors simply believe they could have been able to save more people had they been able to reach them earlier.